Hi everybody.
Welcome.
So we have a vulnerable, intimate video to share with you today. We've been going through some stuff and thought maybe some of you have gone through things like this and might be helpful to just share a little bit. So as many of you know, we're about to have a baby in a month or so. And we feel so blessed and so grateful. And we're also feeling some grief. And this is tricky, especially for me, because I definitely am having some of the mom guilt. But it's like again, so grateful to be pregnant, to have a healthy pregnancy, so grateful we have this beautiful child coming into our life. And there's all that gratitude, and then there's, oh my gosh, and we're also grieving us. The two of us, like this, that we have just loved and cherished for so long, well, not so long, almost 4 years, is shifting.
Feels like a lot longer.
Yeah, it feels like lifetime, seriously. Considering we moved in together the day we met, and we've done some time. So we're grappling with having all this gratitude and excitement for this next chapter, but also some legitimate grief that's coming up.
Yeah, and what we wanted to do, I was speaking with a dear friend the other day, and he said, you know, man, something that really helped me was going through a very specific ceremonial process, specific to them, him and his partner, around 2 becoming 3, right? And I said, wow, like I latched onto that immediately, and I thought, oh, we need to do that. And so I think we bumped into him on a Sunday, and 5 days later, we put it in, we scheduled it, and we did it. And I want to share a little bit about the ceremony very briefly, because it could be of use to you. We just made up our own, and I led that, and we just went into it. And essentially we started, I'm a big fan of symbols. Symbols for me, the symbolic nature of our humanity is the oldest language we have.
Just take a look at his tattoos.
You can't see them now, but yeah. But we lit a candle to open up this conversation, this container, and we began by just reminiscing and being really honest with where we were and expressing that we were feeling grief, and attempted, and we did our best. And I think we did very well in not judging our grief and not judging our pain and our sadness and our sorrow. And we just started recollecting some of the amazing times that we've shared together, some of the breakthroughs that we had, the transformations, the adventures, the play, the fun, the deep and sexual intimacy, the connection to each other, the travel,
things we've created together, being able to just do whatever we want, whenever we want, pretty much.
Yeah, and that's not to say that won't exist again or it won't continue, but it is going to change. And the grief of that, and Christine asked me a really powerful question. She said, you've asked me this before, actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Before the other night, Christine said to me, do you have as much grief now as you did from going from a single man to a married man? And I said, no, not even close. Not even close. I'm feeling this heaviness, this sadness. Not to say, and this is really confusing as well, because we have this beautiful baby girl that's coming into our lives that we have deliberately asked for. We have deliberately set intentions. This wasn't a quote unquote accident, not that there are any accidents, but this was something that was very planned and deliberate. And we know, we're very clear, I'll speak for myself, I'm very clear on what I want. And there are big feelings coming up around 2 moving into 3 and what that means for both of us.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is the tricky part of being human, is that we feel such a range of emotions, and we know too, because we both study so much developmental psychology, that she's feeling and sensing things. And so, me especially have been communicating to her, like, and I think she's so wise, and babies are so wise when they're in the womb, and when they come out, they're so connected to the spirit world. We've just been like, I want her to understand that she can feel her full range of emotions, and we can be so happy and love her so much and so excited, and also be present to what's going on. Because what we've seen from coaching people, especially parents, is there's so much guilt that comes up and so much busyness and focus on the kid that there's this repression of emotion. And repression of things like grief and sadness and anger, even regret sometimes. Now, we haven't been feeling regret, but we've been feeling like, holy moly, things are about to change in a really big way. So I've just been conscious with her, because I'm, in some ways imprinting her already of like, it's okay to feel your full range of feelings, and it's better to feel them and speak them. And I'm so grateful we have the kind of relationship where we can talk about this, because I can imagine, if Steph came to me and I wasn't like if I was denying my own grief and he came to me and he said, I'm kind of sad, I might have gone into, what? Aren't you happy? Aren't you happy we're having a baby? How can you be sad? I might have taken that personally. I might have gotten scared. But because I'm also giving myself permission to feel all the feels, which are like accelerated with pregnancy hormones, I can hear him and go, yeah, it's okay to have that grief, and it doesn't mean that you're not happy. It doesn't mean that you're not excited. It doesn't mean that you're all in this next chapter of life. And I think we will be even more present and more available to our little one when she comes earthside, because we're giving ourselves permission to clear some of this before she comes.
To be in this range in life is a paradox, and our emotions are paradoxical as well. And something for me personally as a man, and as a man with a very strong core masculine essence, the masculine thrives in emptiness. The masculine thrives in solitude and stillness. And the responsibility that is coming at a deeper level for me, and I've expressed this to Christine, is it's not that it's overwhelming, but it's very real. Mm-hmm. And in that realness is a part of me that wants to just disappear and detach and just go sit on the top of the mountain, right? And she knows, of course, that that's not going to happen. But the ability to have that expression and to be able to be with that, and let me be super clear as well, I have, and Christine has, her own sovereignty. I have my own sovereignty. There are things that no one in this world knows but me. And there are things that no one in this world knows but Christine. So it's not like we share every single thing with each other. But this ceremony was very important. And it was very important for us to give us permission to help us be more aware of what may be arising and coming up as the weeks and months progress, as we make some big changes in our lives, to be aware of each other and each other's sensations and feelings, and what we're grieving, what we're letting go of, what we're releasing, what we're stepping into, and to be greater aware of that so that we don't make fast judgments, that we don't be critical, hypercritical, that we're not reactive with each other.
Yeah. And I feel this is one thing we talked about in the ceremony. I feel really lucky that we love us so much, that we love our relationship so much, that we're going to miss it. And again, it's not going away. It's just going to change and transform. And we don't know what it's going to be like at all. There's so much uncertainty, and we're brand new parents. So we're figuring this out as we go. But in the ceremony, I was just crying with gratitude of how just much I love you and how much I love us and how beautiful our time together. And I think I'm grieving more us than I am my own individual life, because I had so many years of freedom and doing whatever I wanted. And even though we've been together 4 years, it's flown by.
Certainly has. It certainly has.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part of this ceremony was interesting, just to just add something to what you just said. We closed the ceremony by blowing the candle out, and the blowing of the candle was symbolic of the end of that chapter, the beginning of the end of that chapter, so that a new chapter could come for us as individuals, as a couple, as a family of three. And we both just really didn't want to blow that candle out. and so we honored that, and we sat with that for a while. We got into the feels of what was really transpiring for us, and we allowed ourselves to see each other in those states, to just get very raw and real with what was arising for us. And we did end up blowing that candle out, and we're also aware that this is a process. Life is a process. Relationships are a process. And in that, we just get to know each other a little deeper, and we get to connect a little more as well.
Yeah. And the takeaway for you, I'm sure you've extracted your own takeaway so far, but the takeaway I'd like to leave you with is, can you give yourself permission to feel the full range? And especially for those of you who are parents, can you give yourself permission to be honest, to let things that maybe you feel bad about saying, or guilty about saying, or guilty about feeling, it makes you bad parent, or you don't want the universe to think you don't want your kids or anything like that. Can you give yourself permission to just feel the feels and have that vulnerability? Maybe have a conversation with a best friend or a partner or whoever, rather than repressing them, because it exists energetically. Both of these feelings and things were existing in us energetically, and it feels so much better to get it out, because I know for me, since we did the ceremony, there's even more spaciousness for the excitement. and more spaciousness to really step into the next chapter without feeling like I'm trying to hold down a bunch of other feelings that I felt guilty about.
Love you.
Yeah, I love you too. Thanks, everybody.
We love you too.